Alrighty, welcome back everybody. So I said that I wouldn't be streaming today. I just I can't live without streaming. I'm sorry. It's becoming a problem, but not that I'm gonna deal with it. Simply because there is just no real reason to deal with it. Like it's not really a problem. All right. So, what is the plan for today? I think I wrote it in the live stream name. I said adding data persistence and maybe what? And maybe settings, I think. Maybe even settings. Okay. Okay. We'll see that. We'll see about that. I'm not sure about it though. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. It doesn't really matter if we will do the settings. I think data persistence is what really matters to me right now the most. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So first of all, let's open up our project real quick, and that's gonna be the sand. And let's open something like main.cpp. And I still could not configure the actual like setting so that this main.cpp, sorry, not main.cpp. I want it so that when I open the project, it does this. Actually, not this. It does this, where it opens like the actual root of the project. Unfortunately, could not configure it this way, so we'll see about that. I mean, I did configure it once, but then I messed it up, and I'm not configuring it again because that's just too much work. First of all, I guess we should take a look at what the actual game is right now, because I forgot. Okay, so we got this, which we're gonna scrap, by the way. We're gonna scrap all of this, hopefully in a few days. Actually, I'm not sure about a few days, but we'll see, we'll see. Yeah, so this is the game. It currently is just these boxes that I can push. That's it. There is nothing else. Just that. But it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. So I want to add some settings today and some like data persistence. And what I mean by that is a config file that I can store on the system and I can actually load and I can actually edit. And the reason for that is because the I want to be able to like save the settings or maybe even pass settings to the game so that when the game is running it can kind of load that file and maybe not only load the file, maybe also like reload it at certain points. That would be pretty cool. So actually for reloading the file we'll need a few more complicated things, but anyway. And actually, there is another problem I have to tackle, and that is, I'm sorry if my mic is a little weird. I should probably put a little more distance from my face. But the thing that is see here is that it takes a bit too much CPU. I know it's my text editor, but the text editor is running the game, and that's just a bit too much. 10 or like what is it, 11%? I'm not sure if you can see that font, but it says 11% right there. So if I close the game, then the text editor just completely disappears. Yeah, so I am not sure about that. It's just taking too much CPU power for some reason. I have no idea why. Well, anyway, so now that this is all done, and I can actually do something a little bit more interesting. Okay, let's close these file explorers right here, and we should add something to our game. So actually, before we add this new piece of code, I need to probably hang on. Let me quickly move YouTube Studio onto a workspace that you don't see. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I don't see it either. So there we go. Is this just an empty tab? Okay, close that. I just before the stream I started reading on, actually not reading, I started watching this video on Imgui, and we will add this later. But I am kind of sold on actually implementing this a little later. I think it's going to be more like a debug thing, and this is the tutorial on how to do that. We're not going to implement imgui today. We're going to do the config files. So for that, we're going to need to know, I know that on Linux, config files live under .config in the user's home directory. So let's Google where do they live on Windows. So Windows configuration, no, not the configuration folder. And also, I guess the file extension doesn't matter. Preferably on Windows, we would want all the config files to have .txt extension because Windows is just too dumb to open files that have an extension like YAML or something. It can't. It doesn't know how to. It's just a text file, but like Windows can't figure it out. So we're gonna have to probably name it .txt. No, actually, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But like Windows users, they kind of are in a bit of a trouble. I think actually we're not gonna rename the files. We're gonna keep them like .yaml and all that, and then maybe the users can just understand that you just like left click and then like open with Notepad. Okay, so we need to know where does Windows store its config files? Because I have no idea where on earth. So okay, so there is two of them. There is C users username app data roaming. Okay, this is basically where Minecraft stores it. Photoware. And common files folder is what is this website? I have no idea what's this thing. I wish it was like a Microsoft uh, documentation thing. That'll be better. Anyway, then common files folder, we got common files. So that seems to be program files, common file. I have never seen this folder, by the way. I've never looked, but I've never seen it. Let's see, configuration files, okay, all of that. Let's see, the base folders for the different configurations are private folder when logging on or loading configuration from a server, private folder. Okay, localized metadata. Oh wait, is this the documentation for some kind of software? Yeah, it is. Ew. 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 I wanted the documentation, not this documentation. Okay, let's close that. But we get it. So, preferably, actually, C++ gets environment variable. This is what we want. We would want this because, okay, we got get env is what we have. And preferably, this environment variable should tell us everything. Should tell us everything we need to know about the system, which is a pretty good thing right here. Oh, and then we got like this little check, basically, if that is null. Okay, yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. Let's see, variable session where, value console, lib doesn't exist, variable system drive, C. Okay. Okay. So no, the output differs for different device. In order to see the list of all the environment variables and their values, Windows type set what? Oh, set and press enter on command prompt. Unix env and press enter on terminal. Okay. Okay. Uh, all right. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Actually no. So then let's see here, accessing environment variables. So preferably what I would want is I would want something like an environment variable that will tell me a config folder location for that system. And I don't care what the system is. Just tell me the config file location. Just I don't care. So environment variable for config cross platform, please. Cross-platform setting of environment scripts. Cross-platform environment aware. Oh, I think this is what we want. Seems like a reasonable thing to do. Also, let me quickly check if SoundCloud is gonna do the thing that I wanted to. Yeah, seems like it does. Okay, pretty cool. So what is it saying here? Cross-platform environment variables configuration files in Xamarin. Okay. Wait. What is Xamarin? What is this thing? Hang on. I need to know. I need to know. Also, I need to drink some water. Ah, you can't drink water too fast. Otherwise, things may get... Okay. Continuing on. Xamarin open source at platform 4.net. Dun, 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 dun. Love this song. I just love the songs that are in my playlist. This is NCS music, by the way. Should mention that. So Xamarin is a .NET. Okay, it's a Windows thing, is what you're saying. It's a Windows thing. It's not like, but hang on, they do know some way of 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 understanding. Um, hang on. Let me read this through. I hope they're doing the thing I want. No, don't tell me that they're. Oh, jeez. Hang on. Um. Okay. Mhm. Problem. This is not what I wanted. No, problem is. Okay, close this stuff. I guess. Okay, so I support currently 3 platforms. I mean, theoretically, I would want, is the better way of worded, I would want to support 3 platforms: Windows, Mac, and Linux. Like, theoretically, all of them should be supported. But, like, if some of them are not, I don't really care that much. Also, the game should be portable, like very portable, so that you could easily port it to other platforms. So we would preferably want like a fourth, like a custom um, setting for this platform specific stuff. So let's just Google Linux platform. Sorry, what am I saying? Linux config file enviro. I can't even type today. Environment variable. Okay. No, not how to set them. Oh my god, the search is just so dumb. I guess that's the, what's it called? Hang on. Not the Unix. It's there is this like convention that I forgot. What is it? Um sorry, Linux is something compatible. POSIX, yes, POSIX is what I was looking for. So I am guessing if I Google POSIX, it should give me. Uh, dun, 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 dun. Okay. I guess um what I would want is just a list of POSIX environment variables. I just want all of them. Okay, so the Portable Operating System Interface, POSIX, is a family of standards specified for maintaining compatibility between operating system, both the system-wide and user application programming interfaces, along with shells and utility, blah blah blah. I hope my singing is not very annoying. Let's see. Controversies. True. I am just here for you. Cool. Um, is there any like nah, Richard Stallman. Very nice to see you, man, here. Let's see. Unix was selected. Yep. Okay. Let's do this. Control find environment. Okay. Oh, okay. There is something about the environment variable, but let's keep searching. Environment. Unix like environment for connectivity. Okay. Mac is actually very similar to Linux now that I think about it, so should be rather easy to like get some stuff going on there. Let's see. Oh, Plan 9 from Bell Labs. Somebody actually used this thing recently and they showed me what it is and they were like so excited about it. I'm like, dude, this this is just the very basic stuff. Not to say that it is like it's an interesting thing, this Plan 9 operating system, but I don't know, it's just okay, how do I guess the best way to know what the environment variable for Linux is to just like env. Oh, actually, it would be easier to just do dollar hello config. Is it like directory? No, no. Weird. Huh. How do I know what my like what's it called? How do I know what my config file variable is? Because I know that it is like .config .config slash whatever, you know, I can like make like sand, I guess, you know. But how do I know what the actual variable is? Jesus. Um, because I can't assume enough variables list. Oh, hang on. Okay, we'll take a look at this. But the one thing I want to do, Control G, is manual for dot config. There might be, no? Manual for config. Oh, okay. What is this? Library configuration files open install. To read configuration files is used for open install Mac configuration file and in a few other places like okay, 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 okay. Oh, I know this. This is I think this is like, do they have a? Yeah, that looks like a .ini file. That, yeah, it actually is an ini file. Yeah, it's just ini file. That's it. Yeah, it's just a very basic config file. Kind of boring, you know. Um, so config is not the thing. They mentioned that, okay, env set each name to value in the run command. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so env is the thing that we use when we write shebangs. We use it a lot, so if we were to write like a bash script, then we would write it like at the first line of the script would be like this: slash bin env say bash if we wanted this to be a bash script. If it's a Python script, it would be something like Python 3 or something, right? So env has very little to do with, I mean, it does modify variables, but it has very little to do with actually discovering the variables. So how in the world can I get the idea for, like, what is this environment variable for Linux, like, thing? Oh wait, I already opened this, which, what is this? Open group based specifications. Uh, okay. Oh, nice. Okay, this thing, some of you may know, some of you Linux, what's it called? Linux rising experts, you probably know that. This is the prompt variable. There's actually more than one, but like basically the text that's displayed here in the prompt goes into PS1. I don't know what the other ones are for. I never actually managed to like look at them. Home, we know that. Um, let's see. Editor is another popular one. env, I'm not sure what that is supposed to be. Um, I am looking for something that says config, which I can't find. What on earth? Why not? Hello? Hang on. Yeah, I can't read this text either, but this is just a description of all of them. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Just to be safe, I will do env, which it said would print all the variables. And then I'm going to grep, because I don't know what those variables have. Most of them are just like path, that stuff. But still, grep config. What? Hmm. So actually, I could not find any that tell me what the config file thing is. I am guessing that. Wait, but like Minecraft somehow knows. Minecraft knows that its .minecraft should go into like you know on Linux actually where does .minecraft go on Linux? Does it go in no, it doesn't go to .config. Oh, so on Linux actually .minecraft lives I think in home, and on Windows it goes into like app roaming, all of that stuff. And is it that it's just a coincidence that the user configuration variable is the on Windows it's like roaming, and on Linux it's just user home directory? Because those are clearly like they mean different things. Okay, I have an idea. I have a genius idea. Just very genius. You can't imagine how genius it is. Okay. The geniusness of this idea is actually pretty simple. You take, you close this terminal, you go into something like a CMake lists at the very top here, and then you define. Actually, first of all, you ask Linux, sorry, not Linux, CMake get platform. And I think it's that. I am not sure. I think this is more of what we want. CMake system name. Uh, build targets the whole system. System name for cross compiling. Okay. So it seems like CMake system name. Then let's print what the actual thing is. Oh yeah, that's a nice song by the way. CMake system. Oh, let's see what else is here. CMake system name, and I just want to know what that is. So if we compile, it will tell me right at the end. If only it could tell me. Oh, it says Linux. Now, can I please get a list of like all the names? Hmm? What's this cross compiling? CMake. Okay. Cross compiling for Linux. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Nice. This is root. Mm-hmm. This all I know all of this, yes. In fact, I don't. Hmm. So in that case, the way I would do it would be to just grab this and then say, actually I think I already have this. So if, I always forget. I need this, like, let's just Google, well, not Google, search if, and, huh, okay, I guess equals, hmm, CMake path, all of that. Oh, there it is, if. Let's see, there we go. So I guess it's a string, so we're just gonna do something like string equal, which by the way, we should click on that. If a variable or a string equal, so rather interesting way of doing it. String equal, Linux, then add compiler definitions, I think. Let me see. Options, command, target. Add compiler definitions. How do you add them? Hang on. Can I see like a documentation on this? Because I forgot how to use this thing. Add compiler. Definitions. Let me see. Okay, the music seems to be fine, not too loud, that should be good. Oh, okay, this is how you do it. Functions are definitions. And it supports make all escape dagger. Okay. So add compiler definitions, and what we'll do is we'll say here instead of this, it's going to be, I guess it's not in, yeah, it's just this. Um, Linux. I guess you should put this Linux here in like quotes. Um, and actually, in fact, I don't think this makes much sense to do it like this way. This is a bit too much complexity. I think the way we're gonna do it, I guess what we could do, I'm just trying to like foolproof myself from the future myself. Else, let's do add the same thing and let's just set it as sandOS equals 0. I don't know, that seems to me like a good enough thing. That seems to me like a good enough thing. Alright. So with that, and at the end we also need an end if. Why does it not format itself properly? All right, there we go. So that actually all of this should go all the way to the top. About here. Before include directories is where it should go. All right. So with this, we can now start doing something here. Actually, not here, not in main.cpp. So we need a configuration file loader, and preferably, what I would do is I would have a global set of like, like what is it, like settings or something? I'm not sure about that, but like, yeah, like a set of settings or something that I would then put in the config file in like a YAML format or something. And essentially, if the setting is not specified, then it would it would go to its default value. If it's specified, then it's something else. But we need to know where the file is, and so that's what the first, what is it? How long is this? 1 hour. The first 1 hour was just this. Actually, is it a 1 hour? Huh. It's weird. Why does YouTube Studio says it's 1 hour out of 158.45? What? What exactly are those 50 extra minutes? What are they? I don't know. Anyway, so this first hour was just me trying to figure out like what the environment variables are, what are the cross-platform way of getting the configuration file directory, which is probably the way that I should have phrased this question. Instead of like Googling this stuff, let's just do um, get config file directory, and like we can change it later. Maybe some smart contributor would come to my GitHub and they would like immediately just add a fix to it. Hmm. Mm-hmm. It doesn't show any information there. So we'll just assume we know everything about the system that we're on, which is like the worst thing you could have done. And we now have a send OS definition, which means that we can check probably under core over here, we should check. So if we create file, um, create file, config underscore config. I don't know, just config dot. No, config. No, let's do it this way. Let's do user or like player config dot hpp. I think is the proper way of naming this. And this thing will not care at all where the config file came from. Actually, before we can do any of what I've just described, let's make it a class. And actually, we don't need this to be a class, but we'll do some fancy stuff here. So we'll make a class called player config, and this class will contain some basic information about about our stuff. Okay, let me think about it. So first of all, I want all the fields of this class to be public because it's a config file thing. We want to be it's basically like a struct, except it's not. So we'll say public. We'll have what do we want for now? For now, actually, what I would want is a way to bind different keys and different like buttons on the joystick and all of that, and just rebind those values, which I am not sure if I really want this like to be like here's my problem that I'm having. My game already runs extremely like not the way I want it to run. Like it doesn't run the way I want. It's pretty slow. It's taking too much CPU. It doesn't have to take this much CPU. We'll see how we can optimize that. There are certain techniques to getting rid of all the garbage that's in the code. I actually the other day I was talking on Discord to somebody and they're like, "Oh, why do you worry so much about performance? It's like you just do this and then you just do this every frame." I'm like, "Dude, if that's doing something crazy, I'm not putting that in my code." So, yeah, I feel like we're gonna have to do some stuff with what's it called? We're gonna have to do some stuff with rendering. I feel like if we use OpenGL, it might make it like slightly faster. Like I feel like there's something there. Maybe if we use Vulkan, it'll be like a little faster because I've heard Vulkan is faster than OpenGL, but I don't know about that. I have no clue on how rendering is supposed to work, but I do know that probably rendering has like a lot of I know a lot of things that can go wrong in rendering. Like I know, let me actually show you what I'm talking about. Maybe later when I'm gonna be watching back, I'm like, what the fuck was I talking about? Like this is the thing. So when I render each of them separately, each rectangle separately here, and also I do this, and preferably I wouldn't do it this way. I would like get everything I need, and I would just render it in one sweep. And the idea behind that is that on the GPU, it should hopefully crop away and not process anything that's like not visible. That's the ambition, at least. Um, the other way of doing it would be to just say, well, if the position is like beyond what is actually visible, and that's kind of complicated to figure out if it's actually visible or not. There are ways to do it, but you know, so like if it's not visible, then just don't render it. You could do it here in the code, and maybe it'll be a little faster than doing it on the GPU. Not that it's being done on the GPU, which is probably one of the reasons why it's so slow. Um, because I doubt I have GPU drivers installed here. So we'll see about that. But anyway, that is rendering. Let's not think about that for now. Let's think of Linux here. So this thing is not actually concerned with where the config file is. It does not care. Preferably when we build for different systems, I would maybe even inside of like CMake lists would just define like config file variable or like config file definition, and I would rebuild with that definition, and it would build the all the files so that they would know that hey, this is where the config files should go. And actually, this definition is only ever going to be used in like one or two files, so it shouldn't be that much of a deal. Anyway, so what kind of fields do we want? We want to know what are our key bindings. Now, we just need, and to be honest, this is kind of a weird thing to think about because this is controls. But you see, controls, they the same key in different contexts can mean different things. Hmm. Okay. Well, for now, we don't have to think about the. I'm just thinking about so many things at the same time. What do we want? We want to know what is the up. Oh, wait, I just realized something. I just realized something. If so, here's a little bit of a problem with the way that I'm doing it. If we want controls and we want to support joysticks, which I have a joystick right here. You can't see it, but imagine that you have a that I have a joystick, not you. You might have a joystick, but that's not relevant. So I have a joystick, and the joystick has, well, the thing that like you can move back and forth, not the button, the actual what it's called, the joystick. And the way that you know if that joystick is like forward or backwards is completely different from the way you know if the button is pressed. So I could make it so that when we bind keys, we like, detect if a button is pressed. Like detecting button presses is pretty simple, but detecting if the joystick is forward, that's a completely different story. And also, joysticks have like this linear, like what do you call it? Like they're not scal. No, wait, what is it? Is it a scalar? Is it a no? It's not a scalar. Has nothing to do with scalars. But like, point is that the joysticks that you can like nudge it forward a little bit, and you can also nudge it like all the way forward, basically. And those will have different impact. Like the character should be able to move slightly. It's like pressing the key on the keyboard like a little bit. And the same thing on the joystick. Like if you press it a little bit slightly forward, it's like you're pressing the key like slower. So I guess the way to resolve it would be to just say um, we have an enum um, control mode. Oh, it should be underscore. Actually, this is the name, so it is control mode. And this control mode will be um, a button is the first option. Button and joystick. And button and joystick. Let's make button equals 0. And then let me think about it. So then if we want to bind some keys, we're gonna need a STD pair of control mode and well, it's not as straightforward. Actually, it kind of is. And I guess an integer. Um, so I would say an integer max d is what I would want. Let me quickly look up how SDL handles. I forgot. Actually, we can just look it up in the code. Um, Forgot where it is though. Should be handle events over here. So SDL key count const. What does this return? It's a uint. So, but the thing is that this is bool, essentially what it is, and this takes an integer num keys. So it is an int. So it doesn't have to be an int max t. But what if somebody is very crazy or we do some, yeah, let's It doesn't. Okay, let's make it an int. I guess that wouldn't hurt. I mean, we can change it later. It shouldn't be like that much of a problem. So stood pair control mode and integer, and if it's a joystick, we can just set this integer to be the number of like the axes number because joysticks have these. As I learned, joysticks have these axes numbers, and you can have I think up to actually you can have any number of them. Theoretically, you can specify like okay theoretically meaning that like you could connect like 1,000 joysticks and they would and have them act as a single joystick like theoretically if you were to do it then you would have like some crazy amount of axes but typically a normal joystick would have 8 and actually the joystick that I have it's so weird where it like removes certain axes in certain control modes so like I have to press like some button on it so that it would actually uh, act properly, which is kind of weird. Like it would make it so that it's like a drive mode thing. So it would what it would do is it disables certain axes and it makes it so that when you press the main joystick, it only detects like up down motion. So if you go sideways, it doesn't care. And then the second joystick, it would only like detect sideways movement. It would ignore like the vertical movement, and that is like for driving and like like for basically joystick that is on your left is for acceleration and deceleration, and the other one is, I guess, for like looking around. It is weird. I don't understand why they did it, but this is one of the modes, so we don't have to deal with it because there is a normal mode. Actually, we'll have to look up normal modes and like what the actual stuff is. Oh my God, dealing with controllers. Let's leave it to players, please. Yeah, I don't want to deal with controllers. This is why we have settings. We don't want to deal with controllers. Jeez. Jeez. Okay, and also the normal joystick would have about 8 keys at least. Um, Mine has 10. Actually, only. Oh wait, it has more than that. It has basically 12 keys is what I would expect it to have. Which surprisingly I think is the same as a PSP. In fact, we can look it up. How many buttons does a PSP have? Oh wait, the PSP has less than that. PSP has D-pad, XYZ, or whatever these are, like triangle stuff. It has the LR, so this is basically the same. And then my controller also has additional like L2, R2, and then the PSP and this joystick also has select and start. Okay, interesting. The reason why I'm thinking about it is just because, well, um, as like I have this dream of like someday writing a PSP game. So maybe I will port this thing. But okay, so that actually makes a lot of sense because now we can make um yeah, like a button and a joystick. Okay, that's pretty good. So this will allow us to have, these like what is it called? Linear switches or something? Um that like you can like press it a little bit or something. That would be pretty cool. And theoretically, we could add, controls on the screen and they would act kind of like a joystick. Okay, so that is going to be stood pair. And actually, that's going to be a STD vector. Or better say an STD map. Hmm. Which should it be? Which should it be? Theoretically, you could write a const expr thing. Let's make it std vector. I mean, yeah, no, let's make it std map. Um, The key would be that. Okay. It's not complaining just yet. It will complain now. So the key here, I would say should be like a string. But the issue with the string is that this thing would be used in the lookup for essentially all the keys, actually, all the controls. So we would preferably want something like a const int. Or actually, not a Can you like? I mean, yeah, not constant, just an int. And in fact, I would want not just an int, but like key map int is like an integer. Actually, you know what? Because the array is using integer indexing, I guess we could do that. Or like what did I just say? Oh, dang. Um, what if instead? Oh, this would be pretty interesting. What if instead of doing it this, look, what we could do is because this is a map. Here's what we could do. We could say actually, our control mode comma int is actually the key, and then whatever is, I think an std function, and that would be void, um, void, I think is this way. So this would be key map. So this would allow us to add callbacks for whatever we want into here, except that maybe this function void is not the best way of doing it. Probably isn't. Although we can put a lambda in here, and a lambda can take stuff by reference. So like let's keep it this way for now. Um, I guess, yeah, lambda and empty lambda. I mean, we could make it so that this lambda can take something, but like really, it doesn't. This function does not need any parameters. It's just like a thing that happens, and most of the time, um, it would like add an event to the queue or something, right? It's not really gonna like do anything. And oh, actually, that would be interesting. Because in fact, what we could do is we could, instead of using it as std function, we would then convert it. So let's think of it this way. And by the way, this is the config file. We need to remember that. And we can't put function in there. That's it. Yeah, we cannot put function in there. But we can put something like an int, a generic integer that, and actually we can't put an int here. Enum event, let's say input event, and we're gonna put this here. And this input event will be growing eventually. And I would, in fact, want this input event to be like a forward declaration, and then I would want the actual input event to be something separate for reasons that... Is this a core? Why is it a core? Did I put it in the core? Uh-oh. I don't think I want it here. I think I want it to be a system. Actually, it only happens once, really. but like it is used for systems. Like this thing, I don't know, we can move it later. We'll see. If it's used in the main loop, it's going into the system folder. If it's used like once, it doesn't really have to be there. So with that, let's see. What can we do about this? Oh, honestly, I have no idea. What am I supposed to do? So now we can bind keys to like events, and I guess the way we would handle like which event it is just by having like a string over here, or better say stringifying input events. So I would want to have a way in C++. Oh, by the way, I opened the wrong browser for this. I need this browser. C++ get event. Sorry, get how do you like get string from enum. I've seen this like really cool thing where it would on CPP reference. I've seen this really cool thing where they print strings in their logs, but they use enums in the code, and that was just it blew my mind. Okay, yeah. This is kind of the usual way. One possibility is a map. Macro, maybe? Mm, oh, so they like suggest. Hmm, it's not really the way you would want this to be. Because then you have to make sure that this is. Oh my god. Dun, 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 dun. Ding, 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 ding. Hmm. How would I? Oh my god, I love this. I don't know if this is visible on stream. Let me zoom in a little. Too complex. If you think it's too complicated, stop to teach SDDC out Hello World SD, and I'll actually stop teaching this. This is like only for debug purposes. Otherwise, use \n. And the reason for that is this is basically flushing the whatever is in the buffer to the console. So it's slowing you down because essentially instead of like bulk sending messages to the console, like I don't know, like 1,000 characters at a time, it makes like a bunch of calls to the system. Like say if you're on Linux, you would call like some Linux API to like print this thing. It takes a lot of time. If you make it in bulk, it's more efficient. This, however, does cause issues with debugging because if your application dies before it flushes the buffer is gone. You don't know what the message is. So you want to flush it before the application dies. So preferably if you get an error, and let's say you're about to throw an exception, you should first flush all the buffers and then throw this exception. This way you get all the errors out. I was debugging one app and it was one of the issues that I had. Like, why is there no output? Oh, the app dies before it can say anything. Okay, I think this is like the thing that it's doing. String to enum. Unfortunately, can I even use switch for strings? Yeah, this is one of the issues. Can't use switches with this. ASTD maps to string my enum or another map could do it easily. Populating the map would be just as tedious as a switch statement though. So they are all saying the same thing. Then we're gonna Google YouTube CPP ref. No, wait, CPP con enum to strings. I remember there was like a 10 C++ hacks or something, and they showed off this thing, and I'm like, what? Okay, I think this is the thing. Oh, enum to string meta program. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let me mute my music in that case. Just have to not forget to turn it back on.
Hey everyone, so this talk's on YZenum. It's a small library that I wrote. It's almost embarrassingly short by lines of code. So I know what already you're all thinking. Really, another one, a YZenum library or a SmartEnum library. This is like the C++ equivalent of a to-do app, right? There's like 4 million of them on the App Store. But probably kind of like to-do apps, there's a lot of issues with them. If you Google search for SmartEnum, the first like 8 hits are random gists and Stack Overflow questions. It's not exactly a library you would actually want to use until you finally come to like a real library. So it's not really a solved problem. So what is the problem? So we have an enum. We'd like to be able to turn it into a string. We'd like to turn strings back into our enums. We'd like to iterate over them and know how many there are.
This is exactly what I want.
That's basically it, right? Very useful and not that easy to find a library that does all that properly. And a lot of the libraries you'll find have all kinds of issues. Some of them use X macros. Some of them assume that all the enums are like the values go from 0, 1, 2, like all kinds of different problems. A lot of them don't declare enums. They declare classes that try to behave like enums. So we don't have reflection. So obviously the solution is not going to be pretty no matter what. So if you take stock of your options, if you manually generate code that's bug prone, if you automatically generate code that's in your build system. So we'll just use macros, also ugly. So here's what the API looks like. You're declaring an enum. You're explicitly setting one of the values. Looks pretty, whatever. Here's how you would iterate.
Hang on, I have to pick up something from the floor, but I should look at the screen as well. Okay.
So YZenum : range.
Short
You fill in
video
the name
though.
of your enumerator. Also pretty straightforward.
Pretty cool.
Converting, again, you have toString, you throw it in, a string comes out. You have a string, you throw the string in, and what comes out is actually an optional, because if no enum has the right string, then you'll get an empty optional. And so there's no, if you don't use exceptions, for example, you don't have to worry. If you're doing metaprogramming, like if you have a logger, you might want to have the logger log YZenum differently, because you know exactly how to log it, right? Because you have all the strings. So you have a type trait, so it supports that, no problem. So I'll give a very sort of quick explanation of how it works. There's a lot of different approaches you could use. Most of them have kind of issues. Here's the approach here. So when you do this macro, what comes out, first of all, an actual enum comes out. And like I said, a lot of the libraries don't actually declare enums. The second thing that happens is it throws in a couple of detail functions, and the detail function basically takes this tag type. And the tag type's templated on the enum, so it's found by ADL. It's all pretty straightforward. There's nothing like very complicated here, but it does work. I mean, so there's that. Working is good. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you why it's good, I think. So first, it supports 11, 14, and 17. And it supports each one of these idiomatically. So for instance, if you're using 14, You get template variables. You don't have to do the nasty colon colon value. If you're using 17, it works with string view and it works with std optional. I already talked before about declaring an actual enum. It supports, as far as I know, all the functionality. So you saw already in a slide that I gave an explicit value to one enumerator. You can also explicitly declare the storage. You could leave it implicit. It works at namespace scope. It works at class scope. Pretty much any of the things you want to do. Enum and enum class, obviously. You can also adapt third-party enums. This is like an important feature, but one that's kind of omitted. Everything's const expr if you do it with 14 or later, so absolutely everything. And also important is that if you do the toString conversion, for example, it actually uses a switch case. A lot of libraries, they do all kinds of not so nice workarounds, either.
Okay, this is perfect. This is what I want. Yes, please. Where is your GitHub? Tell me. Show me. Show me the GitHub. Ah, there it is. Actually, that's not what I want. Presentation, let's go for the, okay, so this is like you just dig through this. No, 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 no. JetBrains, source. Yeah, link to the library. View reply. There it is. How can I just click it? Yeah, leave YouTube. How dare you leave YouTube? Yes, I want to leave YouTube. Okay, actually, I'm not signed in here, so let me quickly do this. Okay, so this seems to be the thing that I want. So I'm just gonna stop right there. Maybe there is, let's see. Um, hmm. I don't know what X macro is, but I should. Hmm. Okay, so enough of that. This seems to be the thing. Let's start this library because it's good. I hope. Because the reflection makes you wise, not smart. Okay. Wise is a standalone, smart in library for C++, supports all the standard functionality. How many stars does it have? Just 243. What? Okay, wise, enum, color, green to red. Okay. Oh, so this is it? This is it? What? I need to know how this. Okay, is this just. Oh, do you think that's a bit too much for a wise enum? Do you think that's a bit too many files? You know, that to me seems like a lot of files. Like a lot. Um, and kinda weird to me. But you need wise enum underscore that h. Okay. Compat optional. Let's see, assert, diastream. Huh. Hmm. Okay. So it seems like the only thing is just wise enum that h is what we need. Okay. Wise enum. dot H. Oh my God, that's a lot of stuff, don't you think? That's a lot of things. That's a lot of things. Yeah, kind of a lot, but I guess we have to learn Git submodule. I feel like that's going to be the best way of getting this thing up and running. Git tools, submodules. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Mm, okay. So I'm not even going to bother. So this is going to be a wise enum because that seems like a reasonable thing. And in fact, this might also become a wise enum. We'll talk about that a little later. For now, we don't have to think about it. For now, we need to invoke Maggot. We need to ask Maggot to bring up the list of the things. So remember it had this thing about submodules. Submodule is a like this thing. So, okay. Mm-hmm. Submodule. I think add is what I need. Remote URL. I hope it asks me for the file name. Oh wait, it's just this. Oh yeah, add submodules, add path. So I would probably, I mean, what is this? Is it just headers? I feel like it's just headers. If there are CPPs, then actually it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so it does contain some C. No, actually it has no CPPs, it just has headers, so that's pretty good. So in that case, oh wait, is there any like installation instructions in here on how to like get this thing out? How do you how do you use this? How do you install? There's no like installation thing. I mean, I know how to like add it to my project. It's just that I would want this to be a little better in terms of hmm. Okay, also we kind of don't really want all of the like CMake generated.py, like we don't really need this. Um, so I am guessing that the only thing that I would want is just a few like folders here. So it seems like this is the entirety of the file. It's pretty short. let's try in that case. Click raw. Okay, the fastest way to do it, and Linus can complain all day long, but the fastest way to do it is through the terminal. It's just the fastest way. Um, there is no, like, you can't argue with this. Okay, so make directory dependencies, and then the same thing, dependencies slash wise enum, and then cd. I'm guessing the best way would be to just cd. Okay, and then curl dash ssl control shift v. Okay. Oh, and you have to pipe it as well. So let's pipe that into wise enum dot hpp. Okay. Yeah, let's cancel this. We're not gonna do a submodule add, because preferably I would only want a really small thing. Okay, so that's wise enum. We also have here an include of wise enum dot h, sorry, wise enum detail, and wise enum generated dot h. So preferably I would not really. Oh my goodness me, what is this? Oh, okay. Um, so we just here for the includes that it's doing. It's doing mostly includes that have nothing to do with the library. So we can also click raw here and we can download this. Just do Control C, and then in the browser here, open up this, curl again, and pipe that into wise enum detail.hpp. And lastly, we could like Control A, Control C, Control V, but not doing that. And then the last thing we're gonna do, oh, and by the way, we should re-enable our music. The last thing we're going to do is going to be copying the um the thing, the other one, the other, what is it? Wise enum generated. Oh, what is this? Sorry? What? What are you doing? What? What is this? Sorry? What? I do not understand. Do I need this? I mean, I guess. But that seems kind of weird. You know, to me it does seem a little weird. This is just so. What are you doing? I don't know. I don't even want to know what it is. I guess it has something. Just, what? What is this thing? Please, please. Okay. I am impressed. Because I don't know why in the world would you ever need this, but I'm guessing you do. Like, this just does not make sense to me. It is beyond me. Okay. All right. It is saying a few things. We'll fix these a little later. For now, I am going to need to have a little bit of a break for about, I don't know, 2 minutes. It's gonna be pretty quick. So I'll be right back, you guys, for now. I should hydrate, I think. Alright, as I said, it should be pretty quick. And I'm back. Okay. So, we need to fix this error. Which, the error is actually as simple as just this. There we go. So this is the fix. Let's also project save. Hoping it's all formatted. In fact, it doesn't really matter if it's formatted or not. Okay, next thing we need to do is we need the license. We need the license for this. So in fact, I would just... What? No, no, no. Oh, there is the license. Copy link. And under here, create file. License. Shouldn't be really here, but okay. What does it allow us to do, by the way? No liability award, no commercial use, modification, distribution, private use, license or copyright for source. Okay. Um. not that I understand it, but like still. Mhm. I'm already bored. Okay, let's close this thing. Is it it? I actually should have not closed it this quick. In terms of like legal stuff, yes, I think. Um, so actually, not sure about the dependencies. I would much rather write it as like a Python script or something. I don't know. What should I do about it? I guess I can just close the license then. And that will be enough. So I need to now start using WiseEnum to know if it is. Hmm. So let's actually move this under include. Yeah, let's move this. How can I move it? Yeah, move to include sand dependencies. Okay, there it is. So this way it's a little better for us in terms of like include statements. So what we can do in that case, inside of player config, here include sand dependencies YZenum YZenum.hpp. Okay, and here this is not an enum, this is a wise. Is there no like wise enum? There it is. Name, what did I call it? Input event, and the thing that it wants is the actual enums. So for now, they're gonna be just nothing. So let's say input event um, movement up, or better say, yeah, up, because there is no forward in this game. Actually, does it need a? I don't think it needs a semicolon. Okay, movement up, and then we are gonna need some more things. So let's just do movement down, movement left, and movement right. Okay. So actually, I just realized that this is not the way, this is not my naming convention. So my naming convention for enums, and this is just my thing. This is just something that I use here. The naming convention for enums is what is it, camel case or something? Basically, first letter capital, and on each word boundary capital. Um, and that's just, I feel like it's easier to type it this way, so I just decided to do it like that. Um, and I'm not sure if there is any way to like split it. Can I like intentionally split? No? Okay, dang. I wanted the split right here, but I'm guessing that'll be it. Okay, it's pretty simple. You could expand the macro. Actually, kind of want to know what it does. Oh, so that's all it does. It's just this. It's just declaring that. So yeah, kind of simple. Pretty cool. All right, let's cancel that. Okay, it's just gonna be easier to use this macro than to expand it and then like have to like think of like, oh, why is this not working? Well, you know, that's the reason. And actually, I would consider using this wise enum everywhere now that I think about it, because that seems like a good idea. Seems like a really good idea to use this thing. Okay, so we got the key map. The key map just maps to like different events, and this way we can actually map whatever event we want to whatever keys we want. We can map them to joysticks. We can. Oh, and by the way, this should also be a wise enum. Let's make here the proper modifications. Control mode. Button. It doesn't have to be like this. Project save. Okay. So this should all still work. And then in regards to the like wise enum for other things, like SDL scan codes, I wish we could have them with wise enums. That this seems like something reasonable to ask. And actually, I'm gonna take a look over here. Convert string to enum into string, that's all everything. C++. True. Let's look at a bit of code. You can declare enum like this. Already declared enum. Oh, you can wait. What are you saying? You can enum class somebody else for a second. Oh, so like you still need to know which you want to adapt. You can't just adapt them. You need to know which you want to adapt, which seems like a lot of work to me. But you can, if you really want to. You can adapt it. It's pretty good. All right. Okay. Good. Good. So for now we can load in this config. And the way we're going to load it is going to be quite simple actually. So we're gonna have a void operator. How would I create this config? I would want to probably, so the config will come from a string, and if somebody wants to modify it in the code, they would just modify this key map directly. So if we are trying, and the config file is going to be in the form of a string. So either we cast this player config to a string, which is kind of weird, to be honest. Like, let's say we have, let me imagine this snippet of code, like player config, all right, and then you say like cout string config. It does look kind of weird. Is it too bad? Too good? And then how do you cast it? Like, let's say you have a string. How do you then cast it? Like, oh, and then when you cast, it does not make any sense to me. No, this is a terrible way of doing it. Let's not do it this way. Let's instead to string conversion C++. I just forgot the way that you would usually do it. It doesn't really matter which you open. Like, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so I think this is what we want. We want to be able to somehow get this thing out of a string and then set the values from the string. So it makes sense if we make two functions for now. So first one would be void to string that will actually from string that will take. Is there any like template string type C++? Like, I want something. I I, I would oh, by the way, const expr is what I want. Const, preferably. Actually, we can't have const because, well, I mean, you can't. How would you? I don't think you can have const here because you're changing. Const will be for a different one. Const will be if you are trying to save it. That will be const. This is not const. But from string loads it, so it will modify its own values. It's kind of like a constructor. Now that I look at it, it is kind of a constructor, and in fact, all of these should be default constructible like that. This is. Should this be? Should this wise enum be like okay. Ah, nice song. Love it. NCS songs are always really good. Actually, they're not always very good. They're sometimes not very good. All right, let's just not think about all the stuff, all the fluff. It doesn't matter. It never matters. What does matter, however, is to set the key map based on kind of like, actually, I don't want to write my own config file format, to be honest. I would much rather. Oh, wait, this takes. Oh, the thing I was looking for is some string type. Um, so how would I do it? Because I would preferably just have like a template. Hmm. Let me think about it. Is there any like string T? No? Hmm. Is there any enable if? So C++ enable if string. Hmm. That's not what I want. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not. Another thing. So, what kind of enable ifs do we have here? Hmm? I don't see any like list of all the enable ifs. I guess if we click this, it would tell me. Aha. So, void null pointer integral floating point array enum union class function pointer L value R value. Okay, arithmetic scalar object compound reference class flow type trivial standard layout pod literal type. What exactly? Oh, removed in C++20. What? What is it doing though? Can't use it since we use C++20, but this type tree has been deprecated and removed as offering negligible value to generic code. Ha 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 ha. But you can still implement it yourself, I guess. Of literal type, provide the member constant equal to true. Okay. So specify the surface letter type, context construct functions. Hmm. I don't actually know what that does. This has actually, yeah, it is kind of useless. It is kind of useless. Um, Hmm. Oh my god. So there is no real way to detect if there isn't like real template thing, which I guess is a good thing because what I will look for is std string view. I need to know how this thing works. Wait, not basic string view. I need normal string view. I feel like this one will have a bit too much weird stuff in here. So what can I do? Class template object basic string view describes an object. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Each specialization is trivial type. Competition members. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So I've heard they're faster, but I'm not sure about that. This is a pretty cool thing, by the way. Hmm. I've heard they're faster. So instead of using templates, let's just take a const std string view. Now I would even take it by reference, to be honest. Although I'm not sure if you can. Yeah, I don't think you can take it by reference. I don't think you can. Yeah, just take it by value. Start string view. And the implementation will be in a different file. The actual implementation would be inside of a different one. Inside of, let's see, player config is in the core. So makes sense here to create directory core, create file, player config.cpp, and here okay, include sand core player config. Okay. Can just copy, paste. This is player config from string. So actually, this why is enum input event? This needs to be in like a different thing, in like a different file, which is going to be called probably player config, or actually it should be called just input event. Let's do that right now. So core, create file, input event.ahpp. And so inside of this, you would just say this is enum input event. But this thing you put here, and also because of that, you put this here. And also I forgot that each header should have pragma once. Okay, what's your problem? All right, so there you go. That should work. And now here it will tell you, what is it saying here? How can you, hang on, there should be a way to forward declare enums. Forward declare enum. Wait, what are you saying here? Forward declaration is possible. Previously, the reason enum can be forward declared is because the size of the enumeration depends on its contents. As long as the enumeration is specified by the application, it can be forward declared. Okay, so you need to specify the size of it. I actually have no idea. Okay, what are they complaining about? What's the error? C ISO C++ forbids references to enum types. What do you mean? Oh, also this wise enum here, control mode. Yeah. Can I wait? Can I declare this enum? No, actually, this one I can't declare. Forward declare, so that stays here. But why is this not? Let me quickly expand macro. This is yeah, like this. Weird. Didn't tell me that before. I just want to forward declare this. I am guessing that you should then specify that this is going to have a unsigned. Actually, instead of unsigned, it's going to be just a uint max t, which does work. Okay, that fixed it. And actually, we want this to be an enum class. And then here, wise enum class. Okay. All right. Good. Good. Very nice. Very nice. So, with that, we can now move on to what is the next step. It's so much fog inside of my brain right now. I can't think. It's weird. It never happened to me. It might have been that I'm just tired, but it might be that I'm thinking about too many things at the same time. It could be so many things. It could be so many things. But let's just close unnecessary tabs. It kind of makes it look clearer on what I'm actually working on. What is this? C++ string to enum. I have already solved this. I don't need you anymore. You seem like being the same thing, and you also don't need that. Okay, so now, question is, does it compile? Can I declare enums inside of... Oh, it will compile, of course. Why wouldn't it compile if we're not, like, what? Don't build gmock. Why are you building gmock? The tests already ran. I really should. Uh, this is unacceptable, by the way. It doesn't even need gmock. It already built everything here. I'm gonna change the way CMake compiles, because this is just not very good. I'm gonna probably specify my own main function. Okay, so input event. This is a nice header that every file that needs to know about input event will actually include, but the things that just like that don't really care about how player config works, they kind of just don't really care. Although now that I think about it, really input event, like the reason why I moved it in a separate file is so that C++ files can like the C++ files that actually need to know about input events, they would know about input events. They would actually include this file. The other ones they wouldn't, because I can imagine this input event thing here being included as like, you know, as like just some file by chance. You know, it's not really supposed to be included. It's just like oh, we just happen to need player config, but we don't actually care about input events. We just like somehow got player config. Um, I don't know. Like this file is only supposed to be really included in like CPP files. Is the idea? Is that something from my playlist? It actually is. Okay, yes. I was just so fucking worried that it was not NCS. By the way, how much time of worth of music do we have left? Actually, not a lot. There is how long is this playlist, by the way, that I have? It is. It does not tell me. How long is this playlist? I need to know. I think it's about an hour, but for some reason it doesn't tell me. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay. So now that we can bind keys and save those key bindings, we need to think of like what do we want in terms of like key map bindings. And I would say what we would want is a file that's stored in .config that is called hmm hmm you know what, something tells me that actually something tells me that this should not be a struct, sorry, this should not be a class, but rather a struct. Yeah, I have an idea. I'm gonna leave the name of this file player config, but I'm gonna do struct key map, and this will be called event bindings. And essentially, um, this is no longer required. This from string, and then here actually something we can do then is add a void operator. I think it's like this. Const. I forgot which way. Is it just this? No? Is it, I think the way you do it. I forgot how to make cast operators. This is one of the rarest ones you ever use. You don't use this very often. And hmm. Interesting. So canonical implementations. Actually don't see casting operators here because I know you can overload casts. Function call, stream extraction, insertion, assignment. This is not the thing. I need the operator overload actually, is what I want. Okay, cast operator C++ overload. There we go. That's the thing I want. Explicit type conversion. How do you? Can you tell me? Oh my goodness! This is so just unintuitive. Whoever made it, please just do something about it. This is like, look. This has no this operate like who thought this was a good idea? I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in a little. Operator int bracket or braces and then like say const and then like return ampersand for example. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Why? Tell me. Why? I don't understand. Like it's like look, in C++, bracket these brackets usually go next to like the function name. In this case, function name is not a function. So usually you would put it next to operator. The return type is what you're casting to. So couldn't you make it like operator? Actually, that kind of makes sense. Like operator int. It's like an int operator. Int is the name of the function. But like still, that does not make sense. It just doesn't. Just, I don't know. Every single time, I don't get it. So the correct way of doing this, it is just so bizarre, is like that. Operator constant string view const. This just Jesus. And to be honest, I am not quite sure about this. Not quite sure. Because I don't know. Hmm. Do I really want this? Casting key map to string? It kind of doesn't make sense. Like, I would much rather have like a serializer or something. I don't know. Should it be like this? Like, cast to a string? Hang on. Let me think about it. Yeah, you know what? Let's rename it. So let's remove this operator and make it string view. Oh wait, so then it needs to be a free function. You're free now. um, okay, let me think about it. How would you serialize it? How would you serialize this? I would say instead of actually no, we do need a convenience function that knows everything about key map. How would I then do it? Hmm. How would I do it? I need to somehow save it to some string format, not JSON, by the way. JSON is Terrible. Probably something like YAML. And YAML, okay. How do we get it out of YAML? Like, let's say we know it's YAML. So what? Hmm. Um. Hmm. I'm wondering. Let's start things off with. Oh no. Oh no. I just realized something. Oh no. I am. Oh jeez. I just thought about something. I thought about um I thought about parsing YAML for like stuff. Jeez. I am I am thinking about a lot of things right now. So this struct, I think, this struct should be the output of some kind of function that parses our config file. It should not. So let's start with just loading the config. We're not going to modify the config. We're just going to load it, and then we can also make it so that it can save the config if we want to. But for now, let's just make it so that it loads it. So to make it load the config, we will need to completely scrap all of this. I'm gonna go backwards. This is not the way you usually do this. So string view, so const string view, that will be the thing that we input. It will produce a key map. And the name of this function would be parse key map config. And I'm thinking it should also return const. Okay? And for now, the only thing it will be concerned with is just parsing this key map, which leads me to deleting this. Pasting this in. I don't know. I find it really hard to design, like, what is it called? Not robust. To design like how the code should be structured. It's just such a pain. I wish there was some kind of like just magic that would work all the time. Okay, and this parse config, it should do something. For now, it does nothing. So because of that, it should just return key map. That's all it does. And it will tell me you have not done proper job. Actually, I did. Why is it complaining? What? Key map does not refer to a value. What do you mean? What do you mean? There we go. Okay. Key map. That. For now, of course. So it doesn't matter what we do, we just return this. And also, not only is it const, it's also const expr. Const expr basically is like a optimization thing that you use usually for optimizations, but like, oh yeah, and also saying that you should put const expr here. Now that should work. What do you mean there's not a literal type? Const expr function return type const key map is not a literal type. Oh. Oh, I now have to research what that means. Type is not a literate C++. What does a literal type have to do? Are types of const expr variables as they can be constructed, manipulated, and returned from const expr functions. This is a category defined by the core language. It is included here as a named requirement only for consistency. Requirements. Literal type is any of the following: scholar referencee, an array or literal type, possible CV. So trivial, const expr is one of the aggregate types. What is an aggregate type? Initializes an aggregate from brace init list. Do you want me to do this? I don't see what the problem is. I can't... I don't understand. It's a struct! Look, struct key map, std map, std pair, control mode, int, input event bindings. Does it have a semicolon at the end? Doesn't seem to have a semicolon there. No, it does. But like... Aha. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Huh. It's interesting. I don't know what's this supposed to be. Okay. C++ make struct const expr turnable. Made a small addition to the exposed sample code to make use of set test and the prevent optimization of that code. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like the thing that it's complaining about is just the wrong brace type. I feel like that could be, or that it is saying you didn't specify. Can I set it to be like default? No. No, still you can't. Is it that the map is like a weird map? Huh. Let me just Google maybe some context for it, because I'm so lost. And also, do we really need const expr? Actually, we might want const expr. But like I want it. Const expr map. Oh wait, is map? I guess the thing that it's. I think the thing it is complaining about is std map. Yeah, seems like it is. Mm-hmm. So because it's not a const, it's not okay. I guess it can't be a const expr. I feel like that's the thing. I feel like it just can't be a const expr. And besides, it doesn't have to be. Doesn't really matter if it is or not. The thing that does matter is that it returns a const key map. So that should make it a little bit easier. Okay. So, with that done, in fact, let's just Control X 0 like this. Okay, it's gonna be a little easier to read, I think. So, with this done, we now start thinking about like what kind of text will be used, like what kind of, what is it called? What kind of file format, I guess is the right word to say, would we use for this key map? And I would say probably the way to do it would be the way to do it would be to return, sorry, not return, we need to parse config files. And it's not really supposed to be edited by the user, but we want the user to be able to edit them. Because I think if you look at the at Minecraft config files, they are bizarre. Some of, no, actually none of them use JSON. They're all, I think, NBT files. I'm not willing to go down this rabbit hole, but they're all, as far as I remember, NBT files, or like some JSON that's actually NBT. Like, imagine JSON types, but like compressed. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Basically, it's just you cannot edit it by hand, as far as I remember. Which is weird. Like, why not? Why? Notch. Why? I guess we'll never know. So in that case, if we want the if we want I'm thinking. I can't think. But I need to. I need to think. Actually I have 7 minutes left. I have 7 minutes left and then it's time to not use screens anymore. Um YAML looks to me like a viable solution. So let's for now make it a equal sign separated list. And so we'll just say that everything that's passed in, it's just a equal sign separated thing. So let's just write a bit of code and then we'll head over to not using your screens anymore because it's getting like 9 p.m. almost and I need to be asleep at 11 because school, and makes sense to stop using the screens so that I can fall asleep today, hopefully. Which doesn't help, but I'm hoping it will help because melatonin production. Alright, so we are gonna need to parse every line, so they're gonna come in as separate lines. We need to first split them into multiple lines, preferably, no, actually preferably we would not split them into lines here, sorry, outside of this function. So we need a lines. Should we use just like a library for it? Seems like a library would actually be better. I I don't know. I feel like I have started doing this config file too early. I feel like I did because I don't know. It just to me feels like I'm not ready I don't know. It's just like I don't see how. Wait, I want like. How do I? You know, let's just think. Let's just think. Just don't don't look at the screen. Doesn't matter. Let's just think about it. Jeez, I'm trying to figure out a lot of things at the same time. I don't actually need a config file right now. I don't actually care because the game is like is just a green grass field with some boxes and a guy or a girl, depending on which sprite we choose, running around. That's all it is. And I'm thinking of like key bindings. The fuck? This is not what I'm supposed to be thinking about. I've spent what? How long has this stream been? Where is the time? It's been 3 hours, and I have not written a single line of actual code. Okay, I did write some lines, but they didn't do anything. These are just header files and all that. I will admit though, using wise enums is a improvement. That I can credit myself for. But the rest is just absolutely useless. I don't understand. But I thought I needed this. The reason why I thought I needed this was because I wanted to play on my joystick. That was the real reason. So I should have made the joystick compatibility. And simple thing. I now start to understand people who write terrible settings, like settings menus. I now start to understand them. Kinda. What should I do next? I feel like I might need to take a break from this entire thing. It's been, how many streams has it been, by the way? Let me look it up. How many streams? How many streams has it been? Um, your channel, playlists, stream VODs. For some reason, there's only two.
Okay.
Oh, don't say anything. Huh. Interesting. There's only two in there. I need to add more because all the videos currently are stream VODs. But like, how many has it been? So it's been... I started on this entire thing, I think about a month ago. Or was it 2 months ago? I actually have no idea. I need to sort out these streams. Yeah, so it's been about like several like 2 months or so. Okay, and I have this like I had an idea, but then I wanted to do something else, and now I realize I was thinking about two different games, and like they're not something you can like pull together. They're not compatible, and now we're dealing with config files. Like, what the fuck? Jeez. Okay, I think what I'll do then, because this is a mess, and I don't want any mess. I'll get rid of this player config stuff. I don't want it in my code anymore. I'll do that later. Like, it has nothing to... It's just not useful for the game right now. It's just slowing me down. If I want to, I can add it later. The thing is, for this entire, like, key bindings and all of that, you need to have... what's it called? You don't start from this like loading from a file. The file is like the final product of the entire system that does the key bindings. The thing you should start from is like thinking of like how is it gonna be used in the game, like which systems require it and which systems need like a certain amount of these key bindings. Like, some, like, say, if you have a controller, or sorry, not a controller, like a movement system that moves the player around, it doesn't really need to know anything except for the key bindings that map to movement keys. It doesn't have to know anything else. So, like, preferably, the way we would code it is so that it would just take, like, I don't know, um, four booleans or something, or like floats, and it would just move the player according to those floats, and it should not care about like all that stuff. How do those floats become a thing? These floats, they just appear, and then, somehow they get transferred to this movement system. The movement system is, okay, I need to move zero point 0.5 up, or better say 50% up, and then like 10% left. Okay, I'll do that. And it does not care like how in the world did it come did we come to this conclusion. Just, okay, I mean, that's what it said. Okay, so this is what we should have started from, now that I think about it. Jesus, what else should I think about while I'm here? It is 9 p.m., by the way, so I'll have to end at some point. um the other thing, I guess we shouldn't really even be I think what I shouldn't be doing is I shouldn't be like thinking about key bindings right now. If I want joystick, I can just add joystick if I want. I can just make it like a separate function that makes joystick controls. So that I could play with my joystick. Okay. So weird. Like, this game dev goes so randomly. What else should I do then? Huh. I guess it's not something I don't know. I think I'll finish streaming right now, and then maybe like on Monday I'll have a better understanding of what I want, because I feel like I'm just going in random directions at this point. If I need to take like a huge break, I'll do that. So I guess I'll see you later. Thank you everybody who watched it, because I can see somebody watched it today. So yeah. Bye.